Hi, good evening, and welcome to Life with Lipedema, Loved, Valued, and Treasured. My name is Tamara Carroll, and I am part of the tribe from Lipedema Simplified, and I just welcome you here tonight. I would love for you to be able to share, maybe tell me where you're coming from and what your weather is like. I know we do that sometimes, but we just had the craziest weather here in North Carolina. It was thunder and lightning and hail and downpours of rain, and it lasted about 30 minutes and poof, it's gone. So I was texting my team and I said, oh my goodness, our lights are flickering. I don't know if we're going to have any power for tonight. So, yay, we're all here. And while you're mentioning where you're from and what your weather is like, and if you're watching the replay, be sure and let me know. I also really want to invite you to ask questions and join the conversation. And even though we're just kind of one-on-one on the screen, asking your questions will make sure that they get pulled forward and inject your voice into our conversation tonight. So the inspiration that I have for you today is from my friend Julie Payne, and it is her blog that I read just recently. And there are parts of it that just really spoke to me. So I asked permission, and I'm sharing that tonight. So it says, why community matters. When I pull away from community, I lose more than just companionship. I lose wisdom because wisdom is found in the counsel of others. I lose courage because without people to remind me of who I am, fear takes over. I lose safety because isolation creates vulnerability in all the wrong ways. Can you agree? I lose strength because I'm weak. I have no one to lean on. Community isn't just a nice to have, it's essential. It's where we grow, it's where we heal, it's where we remember that we are not alone. So she challenges us to take a challenge. So here's the challenge for me, and this is her writing, or maybe for you too. Where have I disconnected from community? What walls have I built up that are keeping people out? Where can I start rebuilding the connections I need, not just for survival, but for a full and thriving life? Maybe it starts with one honest conversation, one brave step towards someone, one choice to show up as you are. I don't have it all figured out, but I'm willing to try. Are you? So tonight, I am super blessed, and I know you will be blessed as well. A friend of mine in real life, and we have done some mini conferences together, and I've gotten to know her along the way, and I am so excited. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Sarah Tellis, and she's on a mission to bring holistic modalities to clients in order to uncover the healing within their sacred bodies. While leading an anti-trafficking nonprofit, Sarah discovered that she was on the verge of burnout, but gratefully, this turn led her into a journey of uncovering gifts of somatic therapies, breath work, meditation, and embodied spirituality. Her background as an occupational therapist was a building block to become a certified in faith-based yoga therapy, life coaching, and owning a therapeutic studio and spa in the heart of our historic downtown of New Bern, North Carolina. She's the owner of First Love Studio, Aegean Med Spa, founder of True Justice International, certified yoga therapist 300, and certified life coach. So please join with me in welcoming Sarah Tellis.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Sarah.
Hey,
And
thank
I,
you for inviting me to be here with your
you're
group.
you're welcome. And I love your studio. Look at that, all in the
Thank
back there.
you.
Hey, Kate's online. She says, hi,
I'm
Tamara and
great,
Sarah.
Kate. Yay.
Yay. We're happy you made it. I
Yeah.
love your studio. It's so beautiful. Tell me a little bit about what goes on in there.
Yeah, so the building is actually from the early 1900s. It's right in the heart of the historic district downtown New Bern. And I love this space. It has a great story. It has a great feel. People walk in and they're like, wow, I just feel peace and calm already, which is such a blessing to hear. So this space is really designed for exactly what your
Mission.
first thoughts, the
Yeah.
first thoughts of the day were on is about community. So this space is all about community. So it's the First Love Studio, and I hold therapeutic movement classes here. I hold life coaching classes here. Also see people one-on-one for a deeper dive of trauma-informed life coaching. It can include somatic practices, breath work, all the good stuff that my bio read. But something you said really stood out to me, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the story of my life." I don't have it all figured out, but I will try. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's, that non-judgmental acceptance that you really ushered in through your introduction today. That's also the heart of this space of
Yeah. When
that
I
we don't,
read that, I was like, oh, this is all about Sarah
yeah, we
and
don't
our
have it
community.
figured out, but we're going to try. And I'm
Yeah.
going to try my best. And everybody that walks in here, I think really feels that openness and that connection, which is key for our healing journey.
Yay. I love that. And look what you're wearing. You're wearing a piece of fabric that came from
From
my artwork.
you. Yes, isn't this the coolest? I love the silk fabric. I love the design. Thank you, Tamara. You gave this to me how many months ago? It was in the winter, I guess.
Yeah.
November.
Yeah.
And now that the weather's gotten nice and warm outside, I created my own little vibe with it.
Yeah. I
Really
love it.
fun. Yeah.
Got it going on.
Thank you so much for this
Thank
gift.
you. You're welcome. So I know that our community is just going to be so blessed. I would like to ask you a little bit about your journey and,
Yeah.
what brought you to where you are now. I know you talked about in your bio that you were doing all these things and then you experienced some burnout. And so how did this all evolve for you, where you started recognizing, whoa, I need to start doing something different?
Yeah. Yeah, what a journey it was being called into the anti-trafficking world when, at least here in North Carolina, nobody knew what it was. We used the word
Mm,
modern day slavery back then to try to describe what was happening and actually still is happening locally here in North Carolina, but also really around the world. So being called to the front lines when really no one had heard of it was quite a journey in itself. So we began in the early 2000s with educating the public, and all of a sudden what started as something called the Pearl Ministry grew very quickly to True Justice International, which is still thriving today. They just, I believe it's their 11th year of Anna's House, which is a safe house that opened here in North Carolina for survivors of human trafficking. So it's very exciting to see the nonprofit still going and thriving. But when I ran it and founded it and kind of started the whole vision, I didn't really understand that all that positive energy and all that excitement I was feeling was also linked to anxiety. And
mm,
I was noticing my heart rate was up, and I was driving the car, gripping the wheel. And then one year I was leading an international conference in Honduras where we had a safe house at the time. And I felt like I was coming out of my skin. I was breathing fast. My body felt calm, but it's like something weird is happening. And I don't know what it is. And then I figured out it was a panic attack. So
mm,
when back then, almost 15 years ago, I went to my doctor and she wrote me a prescription and I started taking Lexapro. And it worked okay, but it came with a whole slew of side effects.
mhm.
And then I am so blessed to say that I got introduced to healing movement through faith-based Christian yoga. And it was in that class where I was surrounded by women so full of love. And one of the ladies laid her hands on me. I still feel it in my body when I talk about it. She laid her hands on me. I took a long exhale and I felt something shift so deep in my body. I was like, I don't know what just happened, but this is it and I need it. So I began my own healing journey of uncovering parts of me from my childhood that needed to really have that nurturing feminine touch. Uncovering my power and my strength, because even though I was leading a nonprofit, I was also kind of codependent in my marriage. So I had to kind of find my strength and find my voice in a lot of my relationships. And through these somatic practices, I was able to get off of the Lexapro. I turned to more natural products and the healing movement, the healing therapy. And it just really inspired me. I thought, wow, this is it. And when I found out that my background in occupational therapy, my love for faith-based yoga could combine, and I could use all of this with my trauma background, having worked with survivors of human trafficking for so many years, could kind of come together in this beautiful picture. I moved forward in becoming a faith-based yoga therapist and now a life coach. A lot of different types of certifications. That learning never ends for me. There's always something new, but I love what I get to do. I really do. I love working with people around the world. And when God opened the door for me to start True Justice International, I was able to move that message into over 35 countries.
Wow.
And we had such a profound impact and made friends all over the world. So it's such a blessing to be able to take something that's not as bold, I guess, as talking about human trafficking and the sexuality and the exploitation that goes with that, but now introducing this concept of the healing that is actually within us, so that we can really embrace who we are created to be. What is our purpose? How do we live life in the present moment and from our authentic self?
That's so great. So that leads me perfectly into my next question. Several of the ladies in our community, we struggle with self-worth and self-image and negative self-talk. Can you speak to that a little bit about our inner dialogue? And how could we change that?
Yeah. I always say our healing journey begins with two words, Tamara, and those are the words safe and loved. When we feel safe, then we can open up to feeling loved. And being loved is really the foundation of all healing. So when we're looking at beginning our journey and our internal talk, the way we talk to ourselves is full of judgment and condemnation. And I use the word internal critic because some of us really have these huge internal critics that as soon as we do something, it's not good enough. You should have done better. That person, the comparison game is doing it better than you. It's like our mind can really hijack the blessing of who we really are showing up in the world and who we're created to be. So pausing, and I use an acronym called the CALM coaching, and I can talk about that later, or it's a part of my online program I'll be introducing. But the CALM coaching technique is a way that we can really start to look at ourselves as observer through this beautiful gift of meditation and open our heart, our mind, and our body to approaching ourselves with compassion, with compassion. So when we can really look at ourselves, no matter where we are in our journey, and learn to talk to ourselves like we're our own best friend, right? The things that we say to ourselves, we would never say to our best
friend.
Yeah.
And especially about our bodies. I mean, I wouldn't go up to any of my girlfriends and say some of the things that, it's easy to think about our bodies, it's who would do that?
Exactly. Yeah.
That'll definitely change our mindset. You and I were talking earlier, and I'm looking at my notes because I want to read it just the way that you had mentioned it. You said the messages that we hold in our heart and our mind affects our bodies and who we were meant to be. I love that. So, can you just share just a little bit on that, a little bit more?
Yeah. So the way I like to look at us as sacred beings is, our intelligence isn't just happening here, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have obviously intelligence in our thoughts and the way we communicate, but we also have this beautiful gift of intelligence of our emotions, what we're feeling inside of our inside of our body and our emotions. And then our body holds sacred wisdom. So when we're looking at really who we are, we have to look at how we're created with a mind, a heart, and a body. And I like to look at it too. Then we're wrapped in this loving spiritual aspect. And when we can start to integrate all three levels of our intelligence, wrap it in this beautiful gift of spirit, then we can learn to really live life to the fullest and honor who we're created to be. And, with that mindset, we can take down the very limited lens that we often view ourselves with and view others with, and start to really expand and really understanding ourselves with compassion of what's going on. Because how often do we get in our head about something, or I'm going to accomplish this, I have to do this in order to be good enough, to be worthy enough. But yet our body is saying, you know what, you really need to rest. But we don't listen to the wisdom of our body, and we push and push and push until we're completely dysregulated. Our nervous system gets dysregulated. Our relationships start getting jacked up. Because we haven't honored the intelligence our body is giving us to say, actually, sweetheart, you're invited to rest right now. And through this season of rest, by listening to the sacred messages that your body is giving you, you're going to be able to show up in the world the way you're created to be. You're going to be able to move forward with more connected wisdom in these relationships. Because really, Tamara, our relationships begin here within ourselves. I think we're always looking outside of ourselves and thinking, oh, I'm a person, I offer compassion. I do all these things for my family and my community. And we're giving and doing, but we're not remembering that we're actually called to not just love others, but to love others as what? We love ourselves.
Yeah.
As we love ourselves. So understanding that we're more than just our thoughts, we're more than just our emotions, we're more than just that gut instinct or our body's messages. All three of these centers of intelligence can integrate together with this greater spiritual wisdom.
That's perfect. Thank you. And you may have already answered my other question, but I'm going to bring it up anyway, because I feel like it just might go a little deeper. We had talked about patterns that we set up over ourselves, and what steps could you give us on how to break those negative bad patterns?
Yeah, that's great, because when we start to recognize the patterns, and for me, in my relationships, especially with my husband Angelo, I started recognizing some very specific patterns that were continuing my marriage to be on this roller coaster. So when I empowered myself to kind of pull back, so through the gift of meditation, if you're able to look at your life, kind of pulling back and not in it and judging and condemning, but pulling back and going, aha, all right, Sarah, let's look and see what's going on with your relationship with you and Angelo. Okay, A and B is equaling C for the past 5 years. And you don't like what C is doing in your life. So there's my pattern set up. So first of all is recognition, recognizing what patterns are showing up in your life. And oftentimes we'll see it relationally, or we'll get feedback from people. And sometimes it's hard to look in the mirror. We don't want to recognize these patterns because they're heavy or hard, or maybe they've been set up even since childhood. And sometimes associated with trauma that we experienced in childhood. Some of these patterns have become our little safety net. It feels safe. It feels good when we're in certain patterns, even if these patterns aren't healthy. So the first step is really recognizing the pattern and then approaching it in a non-judgmental, compassionate way, and kind of looking at it and investigating, asking what is really going on here? What is it that you really need? So think about it, Tamara. How often do we ask ourselves, what is it that you really need right now? What is it that we really need? Because oftentimes we're in patterns. If we're feeling anxious, we have our little, what do we go to? We go to our self-soothing techniques. Maybe it's food, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's sex. Like oftentimes we're feeling these voids in our life because we think it's something that we need. So we're adding all these things to our life, but really when we create that non-judgmental pause and we can pull back and say, what is it that you really need right now? So for me in my relationship, when I was able to recognize, create the pause, notice what it was that I really needed, I needed to come home to my voice. I needed to learn to respect that what I wanted in my marriage mattered, that I wanted a deeper intimacy, that I wanted to be heard and respected in a new level. So then I was able to say, okay, well, how are you going to move forward? So for me, now we're taking it into how are we moving with this message to get the results now that we need. I can't change relationships as far as the other person in the relationship.
Right.
That dynamic stays the same. I can only change the way I'm responding in the relationship. I'm responding to my self-soothing nature and empower myself to know, what I need actually matters. This is so important for me to take that step and to honor my personal boundary. And I know people say, oh my gosh, boundaries, that word is everywhere. And to be honest, it can be totally misused and it can be abused to be a wall that we separate people from our life. It's like a boundary I don't want anybody in. But that's not what true community and that's not what true healing is. True healing and using boundaries it's a permeable, but it's a protective layer of I matter, I honor, but I allow people to come in and out, relationships and dynamics, but ultimately I'm honoring the sacredness of my space. I don't melt into another person's needs and forget my own, but I hold the boundary of listening to what their needs are and mine. And so I think, boundaries, when we're really on this healing journey and we're seeing patterns that have built in our life, developing these healthy boundaries is also really important.
Good. That's so good. I was taking notes so fast. That's what you're seeing me looking down.
I'm talking fast.
No, it's good. But I'm gonna have to come back and watch a replay. But I got scribbles all over my paper, so that was really good. I'm going to shift a little bit because this is something that I find really, really interesting. And I know that you are really an expert in it. Can we talk about the vagus nerve a little bit?
Ooh, yeah.
How that affects, how we can support it, and how that affects our bodies being healthy.
Yeah, I love this concept of the vagus nerve. It's definitely out there. You will hear it in the holistic circles, often referred to as the polyvagal theory. So understanding how the vagus nerve impacts our body, impacts our emotions, impacts our thoughts, and then looking at how it impacts our relationships and the way we connect with society. So to back it way up, the vagus nerve is actually our 10th cranial nerve, and it is one of the longest nerves in our body, and it forms all types of very cool functions. And it leaves the the brain and comes out on both sides of these little openings on the back side of your neck. So if you want to take your hands, you can kind of feel those two little notches at the base of your skull. So the vagus nerve exits the cranium here and runs on both sides of the neck and comes down and innervates many different organs and sends messages, not just from the brain back to the body, but they're really finding that the organs in the brain and the fascia is also sending lots of messages back to the brain. So how we learn to regulate our nervous system by allowing the vagus nerve to turn on helps us to come into more of a parasympathetic nervous system. So our nervous system is either in a sympathetic state or a parasympathetic state, or kind of that beautiful flow in between, which is really where we want to live. So the sympathetic state, we've all been there. It's that fight, flight, or freeze. It's when that lower part of our brain gets activated and that heightens our responses in whatever way. Mm-hmm. So when we understand our nervous system, then we can go, aha, I was very dysregulated. You know, we get curious around what's the state of our nervous system, what's going on. So we start to recognize the state of our nervous system is really heightened. My heart's beating fast. Anybody noticed your breathing when you're there? You know, your breathing can speed up. Anybody ever had stomach aches? Yeah, when you get nervous or anxious, what happens to a lot of people? Their stomach starts to hurt. Why? Because it's connected back into the vagus nerve. That sympathetic nervous system turns on. And the parasympathetic, which is the rest and digest part of our nervous system, is lowered. So when we understand these concepts of how we actually learn to regulate and modulate our nervous system, then we can understand the importance of, yes, sometimes we need to be in that heightened awareness of being, okay, I don't want to get run over by a car, so I'm going to pull back really quick, and instead of just gingerly walking out in the road and just being like, yeah, man, everything's good, and then the car coming by and you're not even responding, right? So you want to have that heart rate up. You want to feel that fight and flight. You want to run from the car, but we don't want to live in that state. So the gift of understanding the vagus nerve is understanding for us, how are you living? How and what is the state of your nervous system? Are you in a sympathetic state, or are you in more of a parasympathetic state? So you can look at kind of the sympathetic, most of the times associated with more anxiety. And then the parasympathetic, like the really big end of the parasympathetic, can be a little bit more of a depressive state. So we really need both. We need to be able to move in and out of both of these states so that we can understand who we want to show up as in our life. Because really what can happen for many of us in childhood, and what I was experiencing when I was running True Justice, was I was in a sympathetic state. I was in a heightened alert state. It was great, though. I was moving and doing and shaking and rocking and rolling and all over the world, teaching and sharing this message and helping pull women out of brothels. And, you know, all of this was like, yeah. But on the inside, that sympathetic state actually was not doing my body any good. So when I tried to move into more of that calm, my body would not do it. It would not.
Wow.
He was saying, yeah, I'm chill. I was chilling out after a big talk session in Honduras, but all of a sudden my brain said, no, ma'am, your body's not feeling chill. Your body is like this. Your brain is saying you're fine and you're happy, but your body is saying no. So it was at that really big state where I was so dysregulated and tipped. I started to realize, I've got to come back. In order to do life well, we cannot fully live in that sympathetic or fully live in that parasympathetic.
Mm-hmm.
And so recognizing, kind of going back to patterns, sometimes we're set up with these patterns in childhood when our needs haven't been met. If we don't feel seen, safe, secure, or soothed, then we don't have a safe attachment with ourselves. So guess what?
Wow.
When we're not feeling safely attached, woo, that nervous system is going to go on either one of the spectrums. Because we're insecure attachment, with ourselves, with others, with God. We're in more of that flow state. We can flow into the sympathetic, we can flow out into the parasympathetic, and we can kind of weave and wind as we're created to. So recognizing patterns starting in childhood, and then taking that beautiful empowered ownership that we can actually utilize techniques to shift our nervous system, which is activating that vagus nerve. And do you have, I know you said you're studying, have you found anything with the vagus nerve that really stands out to you, Tamara?
Not yet, but because of my lymphatic issues, and I've been referred to your husband for pain management, and I know you and I were having that conversation a little bit prior to going. I have this, pain on my side that nobody can explain, and nobody knows what it is, and
Right.
they just keep sending me for more tests, and so. You had mentioned, gosh, maybe it could be your vagus nerve. And so I'm wondering, I guess I need to spend some more time with you, and we'll talk about how people can do that. But how can I regulate, that vagus nerve, and see if it makes a difference in the pain the physical pain that I deal with?
Yeah, that's so good, because when we learn to regulate our nervous system, it can help us learn how to regulate our pain level. Because when we're in one of these extreme nervous system states, it seems to heighten our awareness of pain. But when we are in more of a flow state, then we can learn to integrate the discomfort in our body, because we take more agency over our body, right? It's like, now let me choose what feels good, what releases it, what can I do to calm my nervous system down?
And then even dealing with the prior trauma, whatever that is, figuring it out, recognizing it, looking at the patterns and all that. One thing that we did talk about, and gosh, I know there's so much that we can really delve into. But we had talked about you doing a breathing exercise with us tonight. Can you go ahead and take maybe about, I don't know, 5-10 minutes on that? Whatever, 5 minutes, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So what I was thinking tonight is kind of integrating all these topics is doing something called a somatic meditation. So it really honors the three centers of intelligence: the mind, the heart, and the body. And for those of you who haven't practiced meditation, and as soon as you hear that word, it might, I don't know about that. I just want to invite you to just explore. And as you explore, to do what feels safe and comfortable in your body. Sometimes even I have some clients that from past childhood sexual abuse or things with their mouth being covered or different, traumatic experiences, people don't feel safe really kind of connecting with their breath. So something as simple as just connecting with the breath may be triggering for some people. So as I invite you into this meditation with us, I just invite you to also notice what feels good and safe for your body. And if anything doesn't feel safe, then feel free to shift out of that. Meditation is a journey, and it is not about perfection. It's about really recognizing and connecting with your body, connecting with your mind, your heart, and your body. So I thought tonight I would start with this question, because when we're looking at self-esteem and looking at, how do we move forward in the world connected to our authentic self, I thought about women in my life that had really impacted and influenced me and had been someone, even from my childhood, that really spoke something over my life. And for me, as I started reflecting on that, I thought about this lady I met when I first moved to my hometown, Whiteville, North Carolina. We lived in some little apartments, and in our same little apartment complex, there was an older lady. Now, I don't know how old she was. To me, she was ancient, but nobody's old.
My age.
So I don't know how old she was, but she was very old.
Yeah.
But this lady, Ruth Myers, gave me such an enormous blessing of peace and acceptance and safety. I felt really seen by her, and I felt really special by her. So I wanted to invite everyone that's participating today to really think back over your life, and or even maybe here recently as this beautiful community is formed. Is there someone that you can think of that has really been special to you, someone that has spoken life to you, that saw you or got you or just made you feel like, you know what, I'm seen? So I want to give everybody a moment to just kind of think about that person. Hold that person.
Close our eyes. Close our eyes.
Yeah, well, yeah, we will in just a minute, but yeah, just to kind of think about them.
Okay.
Bring them in. And then wherever you are, if you're in a seated position, kind of adjust around so you can get your body comfortable, placing both feet on the ground if you can, or if you're like me, I like to pull my feet up in my chair. So however you feel most comfortable, find a position so that you can kind of sink back and just be with your body without distractions. So I like to turn my palms up, and we will just allow the shoulders to melt away. So feeling the support maybe behind you, bringing awareness to the support underneath your body. And as you're noticing that support from your head all the way down to your feet, just notice what it would feel like if you could relax back into that just a little bit more. And as you're relaxing back, making any adjustments physically you need to, I invite you to now connect with your breath as it feels comfortable or safe for you. Noticing the rise and fall of the chest, the belly. Maybe taking a nice big inhale through the nose. And to activate the vagus nerve, we'll have a long, slow exhale right out of the mouth, letting it go. A couple more times with a nice inhale through the nose, filling up the lungs, letting that breath sink a little lower into the belly. And then the long, slow exhale, let it go, and maybe let the breath go a little bit more as your shoulders soften, your jaw softens, your face softens. Giving yourself permission to just be. One more nice breath with the long, slow exhale, letting it go. Next, we're going to bring our hands together right out in front of us. You can choose to keep your eyes in a soft gaze or closed. But what we're going to do here is take your fingertips. I want you to gently touch the palm of your hands. And if for some reason this feels uncomfortable for you, then you can just place your hands together and just notice the sensation there. But find what feels good for you as you just notice that gentle touch that you are offering yourself. Keeping the flow of the breath here. Noticing the breath as you're letting this gentle touch flow over the palms of your hands. Next, we're going to bring the hands to the top of the head, and we're just going to tap, tap, tap right on top of the head, and a soft, gentle tapping. And then we're going to tap down the face. As your fingers tap down the face, keep the eyes soft, the face soft, and let just the gentleness of your finger touch be that compassionate touch that you often offer the world, but tonight we're offering ourselves, bringing the fingers all the way down to the neck and then crossing the arms over to the shoulders. And notice if it feels safe to just give yourself a little bilateral tapping to the right side, to the left side, keeping the shoulders soft, the jaw soft, the eyes light. Feeling that gentle touch to the right and to the left. And our safe havening tonight as we just gently brush, keeping that touch again therapeutic for you as we draw the fingertips down the arms and then back to the hands. And then crossing the arms again and drawing very gently down and back. Offering your body this gentle, soothing, nurturing touch. My sisters, your sacred body matters. Your touch in this world matters. One more time as we feel that gentle touch coming back to the palm of our hands. And again, allowing the fingertips just to gently brush over the palm of the hands. Taking a nice big inhale. And the long, slow exhale. We're now going to place a hand on our heart and one on our belly. Coming back into the breath, feeling your body as you are rooted down, feeling the support underneath your body. The sacredness of your heartbeat. Maybe you can feel that, my friends. The sacredness of your breath. And as we're coming back home to our body with this compassionate approach tonight, I want to invite you to think about that person that I just asked you about at the beginning of our meditation, that person that gave you maybe an encouraging message or let you know you were special or seen. And as you're thinking about that person, I want you to bring a picture of that person to your mind. And as that person's face is before you, maybe connecting in the space of just offering gratitude for their presence, for the gift of their impact. Maybe even recognizing the gift of their beauty. For me, Ruth Myers was an older woman, but her beauty touched me forever. Her beauty impacted my life because she made me feel seen and safe and special. So as I think about the impact she had on my life, I'm going to move this a little deeper. And as you're thinking about the impact this person had on your life, I invite you to notice a little deeper. Where do you carry that message in your body? So if you were to scan your body and get curious about it, for some of us, it's like, what do you mean we carry messages in our body? That's what feelings are. We feel our emotions in our body. So if you were to scan your body with a curious approach and think, where do I feel this blessing, this encouragement that was in my life? Notice where you feel that in your body. Where is your body holding that blessing? Then I invite you to place your hand if you notice it. And if you don't notice it, that's fine. You can keep your hand over your heart and your belly. But if you notice somewhere that you're feeling that message that you want to really connect with, I invite you to place your hands right over that part of your body and just take another few breaths, noticing what it feels like to really come home in your body to that message, to let it be felt. Truly receiving that blessing. Because, my sisters, it is inside of you. That gift you are given is now a part of your beautiful life, of your beautiful story. It resonates within your very being. It was something given to you. And in this moment, we're taking it in just a little deeper. Because you are seen and valued. You are loved. One more nice big breath, inviting the awakened awareness of this beautiful message throughout your entire being. As you fill the lungs up with the breath, imagine that gift of that blessing is flowing all the way from the top of your head, all the way to the soles of your feet. Inhaling through the top of your head, exhaling right out the feet. All the goodness in. And lastly, coming back to that beautiful gift of our hands in front of us. And this time I invite you to open your hands and look at the palm of your hands as you're gently touching your hands, noticing the gift of your hands. They're there in the world, reaching out, offering compassion and love to so many people. What a blessing your hands, your words, your life has been to so many. And now ending our meditation with our hand over our heart, pausing and coming back home. Sacred of connecting your thoughts, your emotions, and your body. Gentleness of the spirit. Knowing that you truly are loved. Feeling a last full inhale as the heart expands underneath the palm of your hands. And the long, slow exhale, letting all that goodness out into the world. Inhaling love, exhaling love. Thank you, my friends. Thank you for practicing with me.
Thank you. Wow. That was so wonderful. And Sarah, have you ever thought of recording these kind of things and selling them? I'm like sitting here thinking, I need to have an auto replay of this all the time. And then every day do a different one. So I don't know if you thought of it, but
thank you for your inspiration, Tamara. Let's talk later about that. It's in my heart. I would love to do it. And you know what's funny? So I love Dove chocolates. And one reason why I love Dove chocolates, not only because they taste amazing and one chocolate just makes my heart happy, but they carry these little messages. And my message today, it says, honor your dreams and they will honor you.
Oh, I love that.
I had this Dove right before I came on. And, you know, that is a dream of mine, is to be able to share the gifts I believe God has given me with the people in the world. And whether it's through the gift of this meditative connection or teaching. So the dreams are out there.
Yay.
I'm honoring my dreams and may they honor me back, right?
That's right. I did want to ask you before we wind up a little bit. how can people find you? I know you talked about coaching. I know that you offer international and personal retreats and trauma healing. So you might take about a few minutes and just share about that.
Sure. So I love my retreats. It's so awesome because I have a couple different spaces. People can join me for personal retreats, and we really customize those retreats for your personal needs. So we have this obvious, beautiful studio behind me. We also have the spa downstairs that offers facial massages, infrared sauna, all types of different therapeutic modalities are down there. And up here too. So we integrate both of those. I also have a space at the beach that I do personal retreats with people. If the water's their thing, we head on to the beach and do overnights there. So really customizable personal retreats for my private clients. So obviously I meet people around the world through the gift of internet, but I love seeing people face to face too. That's my passion. I also do international retreats. I've hosted in Belize and Greece. In September, I'll be headed back to Greece. That retreat is full right now though, but keep your eye open. If people are interested, reach out to me, get on my email list, and I'll send you updates with the retreats. I also offer retreats here in the studio for groups of people, and you can create your own retreat. We could do one especially for your group here that's kind of focused on themes that your group wants to hear. So I love customizing and really meeting people right where they are on their journey with all these varieties of holistic modalities that we have to offer in these spaces.
That's great. Thank you. And Kim Gilletta was saying that she's interested in activating the vagus nerve to accelerate the body's anti-inflammatory response.
Yes.
And we thank you for the breathing technique and the hand movements. Part of that is just part of the breathing. Kim, she lives in our town, so I can get you connected.
Yeah,
this is my girlfriend that I told you that lives on a boat out in the marina.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Right around the corner from each other then. Yeah.
Definitely. Well, thank you, Sarah. Before we go, and I have a couple of announcements. The conference is coming up. It starts on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And this is our heart-to-heart 3-day virtual retreat event, I guess I should say, with Lipedema Simplified. If you've considered doing any kind of liposuction and you wanted to get some more information, from the experts, definitely there's going to be some people who are not going to be doing that, and they'll be talking about why it's not a good thing for them. However, if you'd like to get some more information, tomorrow is the, let's see, I wrote this down. Tomorrow is the kickoff, and they're doing tech checks, and there's still time to sign up. It'll officially start on Friday. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure that you click on that link in the chat and sign up and learn more about it, and just being part of our community and gleaning from anything that you'd like to learn about. Sarah, before we go, I know you had talked about a 6-week online program that you have developed. So some of our friends may not be able to make it to New Bern or travel, for various reasons. You want to just take a little snippet of time and talk about that?
Sure. We're calling it our Awakened online coaching program. It'll be a 6-week program that's offered this summer. We're going to focus on activating that vagus nerve, connecting the mind, the body, the spirit. We're going to learn how to live intentionally and connected into our authentic self. So there'll be recorded sessions, there'll be live sessions. I'm so excited to really invite the global community to participate on this journey. So yeah, definitely reach out if you're interested. I will send you more information on that, and we'll get that rolling in June.
Yay, that's exciting. I'm probably going to sign up for that myself. I know Kate earlier was saying, sign me up.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, one thing that I love to do with our guests and our community is if you had to pick one word, loved, valued, and treasured, could you take that one word and speak it as a word of encouragement to our community? One that resonates with you. I have a feeling I know what it is, but
Loved.
right.
I mean, the name of my studio is First Loved. And because when we recognize that we are first loved and that the healing is within us, then we can truly heal.
Mhm,
And that love comes from something greater than ourselves. And so
mhm,
when we really can embody that we are loved just the way we are, it takes us to that new level of self-awareness where we can really understand from that place that we are valued and we are treasured.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah, I
Talk in
love
my language.
it's all my language too. I'm enjoying that, Tamara. You know me.
Yay. Yay. Well, thank you. Sarah, when we sign off, be sure and hang out for a couple minutes. Don't just
Okay.
leave right away.
Okay.
And so, Sarah, I just want to say thank you so much, so
You're
much. I
so
got so much out of this. I know that people in our community did. I know that the replay is really going to be touch people. And I just want to tell you so much that you are loved. You are
oh,
truly loved. You are truly valued, and you are truly treasured. So
thank
I
you.
just
Thank you,
really love
Tamara.
your heart and your
So are
expertise.
you. So are you. And I get to wear your beautiful gift of love, which is special too, right? That's
Oh,
a
thank you.
beautiful love language, gift giving. So thank you that
Yes,
I
it
have
is
that.
for me
Yeah,
too.
thank you.
And to our community, you too are loved, you are valued, and you are treasured. Our next podcast for Life with Lipedema, Love, Value, Treasured is going to be on Wednesday, May 14th. I have a returning guest that everybody loved is Mazarita James, and she will be sharing about how to be fantabulous in our body. She dresses so cute, and just to feel good, showing up in the world, just with all of our beautiful curves, bumps, and bobbles. So, yay! Thanks again for joining us tonight. If you'd like to connect with Sarah again, those links are in the comments. And if you're watching the replay, be sure and send your voice into the conversation, and we'll be sure that Sarah gets the questions and she can
Yeah.
answer you. Okay, take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, guys.